Greetings all and welcome to Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. Below, you are looking at the list of governors that the U.S. are considering placing under sanction under a bill before the Congress alleging investment in religious persecution linked to Nigeria Sharia law and blasphemy laws. The Religious Freedom Accountability Act 2025, sponsored by Senator Ted Cruz and supported by U.S. President Donald Trump, seeks penalties including visa bans, asset freezes for officials found complicit. The bill focuses on 12 northern states: Zamfara, Kano, Sokoto, Katsina, Bauchi, Borno, Jigawa, Kebbi, Yobe, Kaduna, Niger, and Gombe, accused of enforcing laws discriminatory against Christians. Now, let me state this. And this is for the Nigerian government, the Nigerian system. When we have been saying, and I've said this on this platform, Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. I have been saying it repeatedly that the EFCC, the Economic Financial Crimes Commission, has been ineffective in dealing with financial crimes, corruption. This is now borne out. It is a shame, it is a stain on the Nigerian system that it now takes the U.S. threatening to sanction these people that have been looting the money meant for development of the nation. For all of those governors now, they are all going to be panicking. They are all going to be trying to say, oh, this is not going to, and there's a double-edged sword. Many of them have been complicit in, shall we say, all of this Boko Haram stuff. And let's not forget, the same USA that is trying to pretend that they are whiter than white. Scott Perry, remember, stated that USAID has been used to fund terrorism. And for all we know, it may still be the case. We can't rule anything out because the NGOs are still effective. The NGOs can walk into the bushes where the locals cannot go and come out alive. Whereas the locals, they get unalived. So these are what we're saying. Now, I am not in any way, shape, or form supporting this sanction by the U.S. because it's a double standard. The U.S., many U.S. officials have committed crimes all over the world, and they have not faced ICC because the US says the ICC body is not a body that they recognize. But they are going to put sanctions that the rest of the world has to comply or abide by. That is sheer hypocrisy and double standards. That does not mean that these governors do not deserve to face consequences of their actions as governors. They've virtually impoverished their own people collectively. And I say that, I don't say that as a cock-a-hoop. It is nothing for me to be happy about that people who swore on oath to serve their people are the ones who have been facilitated the oppression, the extermination, the impoverishment of their own citizens. I take no pleasure in talking about the fact that the U.S. is going to do that. It's great. I mean, how will that improve the lives of the citizens? What the U.S. is doing now is nothing more than window dressing. Keep in mind the focus of the U.S. The U.S. do not care. They do not care about you as an African. Let us be very clear. They don't care one iota. All they care about is their U.S. base, the U.S. support base, the U.S. citizens, European American citizens, I might add. That's the reality of it. They don't care. So when they're doing this and they're saying they're going to sanction them, we have to keep in mind that the U.S. have got a lot of, so many officials. Right back to the days of Patrice Lumumba, the US has been involved in unaliving Africans and they have not faced any consequences. Yes, I said that. As recent as Gaddafi, they took the life of Gaddafi. Please tell me, which of the US officials has faced an ICC or faced the consequences of destroying an entire nation? They did that with Congo alongside Belgium, and these countries have not faced the consequences of their actions. So let us be very clear. When they're saying they're sanctioning, those of you that are going to be saying, oh, it's good and all that, the US are trying to gaslight you. They're trying to trick you to make you believe that what they're doing it for you. But keep in mind, always keep in mind, the US has only got one interest, US interest. The US has only got one interest, US interest. The US has only got what interest? The US interest. They don't care about you as a black man. They don't care about you as a Christian. They don't care about you as a Muslim, particularly if you are black. Let me go into detail about this. The people that were enslaved were made Christians. They were given slave Bible to read, right? In that slave Bible, they were told to obey thy master. So when you say you're a Christian, what do you mean? When you're black, in the eyes of the US system, the US government, you are a slave. It's undeclared. It's in code. The only group of people the US give respect to are the people who, the voting European Americans. That is who they are interested in, because they know that if they don't do their bidding, they're not going to be voted in. There are a lot that could be said about the electoral process in the US. But anyway, let's not even go into that. But I'm just stating, for those of us, again, I've said it, this now exposes the deep cracks in our Economic Financial Crimes Commission, that there are governors that other countries are going to sanction. If EFCC was functioning, all of these governors should have been facing action to show, to demonstrate the credibility of the EFCC. But let us be frank. Can any one of us say, on the basis of what is happening now, that the EFCC is credible? Can we say that? And don't, before you rush to say, oh, it's the fault of the government of Tinubu, this has been a systemic thing. Successive governments have ignored it. Many governors have committed crimes that they haven't faced the consequences of the crime. And this is why I'm saying there is zero accountability in the system. In a very interesting twist, the actions of Trump, as very much as I don't agree with it, I don't welcome it, and I still insist that no, they have no basis, no right whatsoever to threaten a nation. We have to be very clear that this is not something that I want to do. I can't do that now. I'm gonna message them. Can I call later? I will call later. So now I am saying this because we have to understand that what the US is doing now is totally illegal. Unfortunately, the Nigerian system does not leave room for one to actually feel a kind of trust in our judicial process. You know, by the best place for this group of governors to face appropriate trial should be Nigeria. It shouldn't be in the hands of a foreign body, the US Congress, to now decide their fate. No doubt all of them are running scared now. And we said this when we talked about the fact that governors, 12 northern governors, hurriedly went and signed Sharia law into place in 2000, all the way back in 2000. They are now suffering the fruits of taking such an action, imposing Sharia law on a secular nation. This has got ramifications all over the place, all over the place. And the day of reckoning has now come. I, however, maintain, and I still state this, under no circumstances should a right-thinking Nigerian advocate for the US to come in and clean up any mess. It is time that we in Nigeria, as Nigerian people, take control, clean up our own mess, and keep out those who want to use this excuse to come and take our resources. We need to hold our government accountable. We must hold our government accountable. And I say this not in anger, but I'm saying when we don't have effective systems in place, we are simply leaving room for external bodies to now make decisions that will impact the people that have actually carried out wrongdoings, corruption against the people of Nigeria, that the system of Nigeria has failed to appropriately prosecute. This is where we are. So there is nothing to be gloating about. There is nothing to say, oh, the governor of Kano, oh, they're coming for you and all. Because what does that mean? How does that stop this impending situation where the US are now targeting? They say we're a democracy, and now they are targeting that democracy without any justification whatsoever. The US, in the US, there are people in Flint who are drinking water with lead in it. In New Orleans, the flood that happened there, it was deliberate. In the Black Wall Street, the Tuskegee experiment, I could go on. The casual killing act. That, I mean, look, there is so much that we need to look at. Those of you who are advocating for the US to come in, you don't know what you're doing. But this is an opportunity for the Nigerian government to now sit up, and for the Senate, the National Assembly, because the National Assembly and the governors and the executive and the judiciary, they have been covering each other's backs. Well, that has now been blown wide open by this likely sanctioning that is going to take place by US on the individuals. And in the absence of Nigerian system doing what we should normally be doing to be able to address any wrongdoing, any corruption in our system, to show a true democracy, in the absence of that, it is difficult to argue against, even though I very much don't want the US to interfere in our process in any way, shape, or form. And I still say they must not. They don't have the right to come and cause war on our land, because we know how they roll. Just look at Libya, look at Iran, look at Syria, look at Palestine as we speak, look at Ukraine. We don't want that. There are over 200 million Nigerians. If this is allowed and we do not take steps to stop this, this is going to be the biggest problem in the entire world. And the people who are lining up now, who are these governors and all of them, north and south, they probably have passports to go to other countries, second passports. And where does that leave the people? Where does that leave the people? That's the question I'm asking. So, like I said, I'm not here to gloat about what the governors, that they're now going to face sanctions. And of course, no doubt they should rightly do so. The best sanctions they could face is facing the EFCC going to jail in Nigeria to show and demonstrate a true democracy. A system where successive governors carry out corruption after corruption and corruption, and they are protected by that system, is simply undemocratic. And let us call it what it is. This is a system that is not functioning. The system is designed to suck out the wealth from the nation, the multinationals are working in cahoots with these governors to access our resources on the cheap at the expense of the people. And they are protected until that system no longer wants them. Remember what happened to Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein was a darling, was a friend of the US government until they no longer wanted his services. And then he was dispensed with. Gaddafi was a close friend of the US until they no longer wanted him. And guess what? They dispensed of him. The same thing is what these governors are now facing, because they were working with the all of this military equipment companies, these weapon companies, funding, getting those weapons, and in return they were trading away Zamfara gold traded for weapons because they wanted to actually enrich themselves at the expense of the people they were meant to serve. And now look, the US now says, no, we're not interested in that. We want you. This is what we're going to do. And now they're all running helter-skelter now, no doubt. But anyway, I'm going to stop there. What are your views on this? Is this not an indictment on the Economic Financial Crimes Commission of Nigeria, that it is now taking a foreign body that's going to sanction, that is threatening to sanction these 12 governors for them to now be running helter-skelter? What are your views on this? Let's hear your views. You're listening to Citizen NY, the platform where we speak truth to power. Thank you, and bye for now.